lowest they've been in years, with more than half the country now seeing gas prices for less than $3 a gallon. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says that means Americans are projected to save over $500 million on gas alone this Christmas week compared to last year. And he joins us now with more on the future of America's energy industry as we close out the year. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
The president tied America's economic strength directly to domestic energy production. So talk about the policies in place that have led to this and what we can expect when it comes to energy prices in the new year.
Yeah, energy is just that infrastructure for our economy and our lives. So if you lower it, you lower individual expenditures, but you also lower the cost to produce goods, food and housing, goods, everything else that we buy and live around. And I thought one of the president's points last night that really hit home to the American people is the average person during the Biden administration, they came home and had to tell their wife or their husband that they got a $3,000 cut in their income. That lowered their ability to support their families, take care of their kids, and celebrate the holidays. So our agenda is very simple. It's to drive down prices and drive up wages. And on the energy front, you mentioned gasoline prices. Those are huge. We're lowering home heating costs. We're lowering the cost to buy appliances. Think of all those crazy rules. You can't buy a normal dryer or a normal hot water heater. You got to buy these fancy, expensive, and they don't work as well versions. Getting rid of those regulations and just trying to drive affordability for Americans.
Also, too, nuclear power is back in America. You were in Pennsylvania yesterday for the restart of a nuclear power plant. How important is nuclear to the future of not just our energy security in America, but for artificial intelligence?
Nuclear is a huge deal. You know, you need energy sources that work when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing. The forcing on our grid of wind and solar drove up electricity prices 30% during the Biden administration. So our huge challenge is we got to reverse that. So number one, we're restarting nuclear plants. We're making it easy to permit and build new nuclear plants. We're stopping the closure of coal plants. We'd be in a sea of blackouts right now if President Trump had not won that election. So the electricity grid is a huge challenge, but every day we're fighting. Keep open the reliable resources we have, and make it very easy to build new ones, expand existing ones, and just change some basic regulations so we can stop these ruinous price rises in electricity.
This is so
Americans
important.
Want to be able to pay their bills.
Yeah, and this is so important with AI. You know, I understand that the Energy Department is leading an initiative for AI called the Genesis Mission to advance scientific discoveries and strengthen national security as well as secure America's energy dominance. So explain what this is and how it works.
So, yes, here we're riding on the coattails of the huge hyperscalers that are building giant data centers. We're going to help them build data centers on our national lab lands, and they're going to give us computing power that would be worth billions of dollars that our national labs can use to drive scientific discovery. So we can find pathways to develop cures for cancer. We can harness fusion energy. We can develop new materials. We can manage our electricity grid more intelligently. So Genesis mission is how can we use artificial intelligence to speed the pace of scientific discovery and make new innovations in energy. I'm very excited about it. And we have 40,000 scientists and engineers across the country at the United States, incredible 17 national labs.
Speaking of AI, is it even realistic to believe the U.S. could meet future energy demands without continued investments in oil, coal, and natural gas? Will we ever see alternative energy as a viable solution?
Well, nuclear is the one alternative to oil, gas, and coal that I think can become a large part of the global energy system. It's energy dense. A small amount of land, a small amount of fuel can generate an enormous amount of energy. You know, we can make it 10 times bigger. Wind and solar just take so much land, and they're intermittent, and it's very expensive and difficult to store electricity. They were never a pathway to be a large part of our energy system. They were only a pathway to higher prices. President Trump got elected to reverse that nonsense.
Looking ahead, what does a strong, secure American energy system look like under the Trump administration and also over the long term for ensuring reliability, growth, and stability?
So enormous data centers around the country that are making life more innovative, faster, cheaper business services, more job opportunities. It means power plants and large things are being built in our country again. We're building factories in the United States because we've got a robust energy system. Natural gas will be the largest export of the United States. So everyone working around that industry will have increased job opportunities. We'll fix our trade deficit by having huge exports to our allies around the world. We'll have some dynamism back in our economy today. Everybody trying to figure out which new business they want to go work for. That's what Americans want, opportunities and affordability.
U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright, hope you have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Merry Christmas.